What if the one secret you witnessed could cost you your life? Diem thought she had escaped the nightmare when Toan found her in the forest, reuniting in tears of happiness. But the horror was far from over. Haunted by the murder she witnessed, Diem and Toan reported it to the police, unknowingly igniting the fury of a deadly mafia. Now, hunted and threatened, their lives spiral into a desperate fight for survival. Will Diem escape this deadly chase? Don't miss this gripping story. Subscribe to our channel now and follow every suspenseful chapter. After days that felt like an endless nightmare, Toan finally found Diem. In the heart of a dense forest, beneath the towering trees and the fading light of sunset, the two of them stood face to face after what seemed like an eternity apart. The moment their eyes met, time itself seemed to halt. Diem's legs trembled, her strength giving way to the flood of emotion she had tried so hard to contain. She barely whispered his name, Toan, before collapsing into his arms. Toan caught her tightly, refusing to let her fall. Not now, not ever again. His own eyes burned with tears he had held back for far too long, each drop a testament to the desperation, fear, and unwavering hope that had carried him through the search. They clung to each other as if the world around them had ceased to exist. The wind whispered through the trees, and the forest was no longer a place of dread but a sacred witness to their reunion. Every beat of their hearts was in sync, thundering in their chests as if to confirm that they were alive, that this was real. For Diem, the warmth of Toan's embrace was the only proof that she had truly made it through, that her nightmare was beginning to fade. She buried her face in his chest, inhaling the familiar scent of safety, love, and home. Toan stroked her hair gently, whispering her name over and over, as though afraid that if he stopped, she might vanish like a fragile dream. "I thought I lost you," he murmured, his voice breaking. Diem looked up at him, her eyes glistening with tears, and shook her head. "You found me, Toan. You came for me. That's all that matters." They sat down together beneath a large tree, still holding hands, as if neither wanted to let go. The sky above shifted into dusk, painted in hues of violet and gold, casting a soft glow around them. In that quiet, intimate moment, they shared not only tears but also laughter, the kind of laughter that comes when sorrow finally lifts, even if just for a while. Toan wiped the tears from her cheeks, promising her that no matter what had happened, she was safe now. "You're with me, and I'll never let anything take you away from me again," he said with a conviction that made Diem's heart ache and heal all at once. They talked little about the days that had passed, both knowing that the pain and fear Diem had endured would take time to leave her heart. But what they did share was a renewed understanding of each other's worth, a deep gratitude for the simple fact that they were together, alive, breathing the same air again. Every second felt like a gift, a fragile, precious thing that neither of them would ever take for granted again. As the stars began to light up the darkening sky, Toan stood up and helped Diem to her feet. "Let's go home," he said softly, his hand firmly clasping hers. Diem looked at him, eyes full of trust and love, and nodded. Home wasn't just a place, it was wherever they had each other. The path ahead was uncertain, shadowed by memories that Diem couldn't yet voice, but in that moment, with Toan by her side, there was hope. A hope that maybe, just maybe, love was strong enough to guide them out of any darkness. And so, hand in hand, they began the long walk back, their hearts heavier with gratitude than with fear, embracing the gift of reunion, a happiness neither of them would ever let slip away again. But as they made their way back home, the shadows of the forest seemed to linger in Diem's mind, heavier than the night itself. Each step away from that place should have felt like freedom, yet an invisible weight pressed on her chest. She was safe in Toan's embrace, yes, but the images she had witnessed refused to fade. The sound of dirt being shoveled into a shallow grave, the cold, lifeless body disappearing beneath the soil, and the cruel laughter of the men who had done it, all of it played in a loop in her head, haunting her even in the warmth of reunion. Days passed, and though Diem was back in the comfort of their home, she remained restless. Nights brought no peace. She would wake in cold sweats, her breath caught in her throat, sometimes even crying out. Toan, always by her side, would hold her close, soothing her back to calmness. But he could see the terror that lingered in her eyes, the story she had yet to tell. He knew she was hiding something, a burden too heavy for her to carry alone. One evening, as the rain tapped gently against the windows and the air was heavy with unspoken thoughts, Toan sat beside her, taking her hand. "Diem," he said softly, "whatever it is that's haunting you, please, tell me. You don't have to face it alone." Diem's lips trembled, her eyes brimming with tears, but this time she didn't look away. She took a deep, shaky breath and began to speak, her voice barely more than a whisper. She told him everything about the night in the forest, how she had wandered too far when trying to escape, only to stumble upon a gruesome scene, men, faces cold and merciless, burying a body deep beneath the earth, their voices low but threatening. She had hidden behind the trees, hands pressed to her mouth to stifle her screams, praying they wouldn't hear her breathing, wouldn't sense her presence. She saw enough, too much. She saw their faces. She remembered the tattoo on one man's neck, the glint of a silver ring on another's hand. By the time she finished, Diem was shaking uncontrollably, and Toan's heart clenched with every word she spoke. He wrapped his arms around her, holding her tightly. "You did the right thing telling me," he murmured. "We can't stay silent about this, Diem. It's dangerous, but if we keep it to ourselves, it's even worse. We have to report this to the police." Fear flashed in her eyes. "But what if they come for me? They'll know I saw them." Toan held her face in his hands, his gaze steady and firm. "I won't let anything happen to you. We'll do this together. I'll protect you with everything I have." The next morning, they went to the police station. The officers listened carefully, taking notes, their faces growing grave as Diem recounted her story. The details she remembered, the tattoo, the silver ring, the exact location in the forest, were too precise to ignore. The police promised to start an investigation immediately but also warned them, What DM had witnessed was likely the doing of a dangerous criminal organization. Her testimony made her a key witness and a target. That night, back home, the air felt colder. Toan tried to be strong, but even he couldn't shake the sense of danger creeping closer. DM stared out the window, the shadows outside seeming thicker, darker, as if the forest itself was sending a warning. Somewhere out there, the men she saw were still free, and soon, they would realize someone had spoken. Neither of them slept that night. A storm was coming, and deep down, they both knew the nightmare wasn't over. It was just beginning. The days that followed felt like a fragile calm before an inevitable storm. At first, everything seemed unchanged, the sun still rose, the neighborhood still bustled, and life carried on. But for DM and Toan, every moment carried a shadow of dread. DM tried to return to some semblance of normalcy, yet her heart was never truly still. She would glance over her shoulder when walking down the street, flinch at the sound of an unfamiliar car engine, and often catch herself staring too long at strangers' faces, wondering if they had come for her. Then the signs began, subtle, but undeniable. One morning, Toan found their mailbox pried open, the letters scattered carelessly inside. A few days later, an unmarked black car lingered across from their house, its tinted windows hiding the eyes watching them from within. At first, they convinced themselves it was just coincidence, just paranoia. But when DM answered a call one night and heard only a chilling voice whisper, "We know what you saw," her blood turned cold. The line went dead, but the message was clear. They had been found. Fear gripped their home like a vice. Toan doubled the locks on every door, checked the windows every night, and barely let DM out of his sight. But the invisible threat was like smoke. No matter how tightly they closed the doors, it always seemed to seep in. The police had warned them that the Mafia didn't leave loose ends. DM's face, her knowledge, her memory, all of it made her a liability to them. And in their world, liabilities were erased. Every day became a game of vigilance. DM avoided her usual routines, changed paths whenever she went out, and rarely left home alone. Yet the fear was suffocating. She could feel eyes on her when she stepped outside, like unseen wolves circling, waiting for the right moment to strike. Toan tried to stay strong for both of them, but even he couldn't hide the exhaustion, the constant tension eating away at his resolve. Then came the night that changed everything. DM woke to a faint noise, the soft crunch of footsteps on gravel outside their window. She shook Toan awake, her voice trembling. He grabbed a bat and approached the window cautiously, pulling the curtain back just a sliver. What he saw chilled him to his core, two figures dressed in dark clothes, creeping through their yard, flashlights barely flickering as they moved in eerie silence. Without hesitation, Toan called the police while ushering DM into their small storage room, locking her inside. "Don't come out until I say," he whispered, his voice low but firm. She clutched his hand desperately before he closed the door, swallowing his own fear to protect her. Minutes felt like hours in that cramped, dark space. DM held her breath, straining to hear what was happening outside. She heard shouts, footsteps, the sharp bark of a command, then the wail of police sirens piercing through the night. Relief washed over her as the noises grew louder, more chaotic, then finally distant. When Toan finally opened the door, his face was pale but his eyes burning with resolve. "They caught one of them," he said. "But the other escaped." DM's heart sank. If one had escaped, he would tell the others, and the hunt would only intensify. From that night forward, there was no going back. The police insisted on placing DM under protection, but both she and Toan knew that hiding wouldn't stop the storm from coming. The Mafia had seen her face, and they would not stop until she was silenced. As DM looked at Toan, his hand gripping hers tightly, she knew one thing: they had to fight. To survive, to protect their love, their life, they couldn't just run. The nightmare was far from over. It was only the beginning of a war where her life hung by a thread, and every step forward could be her last.